Right, we're back with another episode, and today we're going to talk about how to slow down time and the science of stopping life from passing you by. I know I might not be the only one, but sometimes the day can feel, very long and dreadful and not as memorable anymore. You wake up and it's the same routine, right? School, work, sleep, eat. School, work, sleep, eat. And it just goes on and on and on, and you feel like you're stuck in a loop. You feel like you're the guy from what's that movie? Groundhog Day. He wakes up and it's the same day over and over, and the days don't feel rich anymore. So I'm going to give you 4 tips on how you can slow down your perception of time. So let's start, and this is from iDoneThis.com, science of slowing down time. All right, let's start. How to really slow down time. 4 tips. The way you spend your time influences how you perceive it. So the choices you make now affects how you'll manage your time later. Here are 4 ways to make your days richer and more memorable so that your senses of time expands and life doesn't pass you by. Okay, number 1, fill your time with new experiences to counteract routine. As we touched on previously, routine and a lack of new experience is what makes time appear to speed by. So if it makes sense that the key to slowing down time lies in introducing novelty into our daily lives. It's not a new concept. In fact, psychologist William James wrote about the phenomenon of time perception in his Principle of Psychology. In 1890, James identified how the automatic nature of routine means that learning isn't really taking place over a century before. Diana Evin Bahad and Ilyan Ridov attested the phenomenon. In experiments examining the perception of time in routine versus non-routine situations, the researchers found that people remember the duration of familiar circumstances as being shorter. In other words, the new experiences and just your daily routine, the new experiences feel longer and time feels more stretched, unlike your daily routine that you usually do. So when you do something new, time just feels stretched and more memorable. It's kind of why as kids, time feels longer because everything is new to us, right? Our first kiss, our first breakup, our first bike ride, our first hike, our first camping trip, our first heartache. You feel me? I mean heartbreak. But yeah. So in one study, participants had to count how many times underlined numbers appeared in each row of a list of numbers, then estimate how long the task took. For the routine group, the underlined number was always 5, while it varied for the non-routine group. Even in these simple, nearly identical tasks, the slightest novelty provided by a mix of underlined numbers rather than 5s expanded the non-routines group duration estimate. Unless people experience major changes that break the routine in their lives and provide them with anchors to retrieve from memory, life can become one short, timeless sequence of routine and actions. Avery, Bahad, and Ridov write, to slow down time and combat the effect of routine, fill your days with new experiences and knowledge to form accessible memory anchors. Accept challenges, learn new skills, and ask questions. Take a trip or challenge up your environment by trying a new restaurant or coffee shop. Embrace your inner child and go exploring. Simple step outside the norm. You'll find that life stops passing you by so quickly when you stop underlining the same 5s every day. And that's absolutely true. It's actually a fun fact. One of the reasons I started this podcast is because I was extremely bored with life. It just felt like a routine. I'm like, I need to do something different. I need to get out of my comfort zone. I need to do something interesting and exciting. And I started this podcast, and it was honestly the funnest thing that I do right now. And it's my favorite thing to do. Number 2, make meaningful progress. Context also makes a difference in how you perceive time because it influences what you remember. Essentially, the relevance of events can determine whether time tends more toward squishiness or stretchiness. In a 2006 study led by Galziver, whatever his name is, from the Wharton School provides a good example of how it works. In this experiment, participants estimated how many months had passed since the date of certain new events such as Barack Obama's presidential bid announcement and Britney Spears' head shaving and Anna Nicole Smith's death. Participants also had to rate whether these targets even triggered subsequent developments. And the results are people underestimated the passage of time by about 3 months. Wow. But if people felt that certain events triggered a greater number of subsequent events, they believe that the more time had passed, related events act as memory anchors, stretching out your senses of time, while unrelated events don't have this effect. So if you've been paying close attention to Obama's first presidential campaign, but didn't follow the many public trials and tribulations of Britney Spears, you would have thought that the more time had passed since the bid announcement, even though the two events took place within a week of each other. Making related memories and building upon knowledge then can help expand time. What does that mean for you? To slow down time, fill it with meaningful progress. And that meaningful progress can be anything. It can be a new workout routine you started. Recently, me and my friend and I, we started a new workout program, because before we just, go to the gym and just do whatever. On this day we'll do chest, this day we'll do legs, and we'll just, we'll work out and we'll just go through the motions, and we wouldn't really be enjoying it that much. But then we're like, hey, let's start a new program. So we started Michael B. Jordan's workout program, and we're having a lot of fun with it. The workouts feel richer, they feel better. It's just a lot more interesting than it was before, because now we actually have a progress we're trying to make and certain goals to reach. Like every week we increase a little bit of weight, and it's just a lot more fun than just doing random workouts. So yeah, you can set some goals like that, whether they're workout goals or maybe anything else that you have in mind. Maybe you want to start a new hobby, maybe hike, whatever it is. So to slow down time, fill it with meaningful progress. The wishfulness and disappointment you feel when life seems to speed past arise because you're noticing the passage of yet another anniversary or birthday, but you haven't really made any strides on the things you wanted to do. The counterintuitive lesson from Zaberman's research is that time seems to pass by quicker because you didn't take action. So the trick to slowing down time, simply increase your productivity and make progress on projects and goals, such as starting a new workout program or starting a new hobby, a hike, whatever it is. Making and recognizing progress not only builds up not only builds up motivation, but also prevents you from slipping into the hollowness of automatic, forgettable routines, such as going to school, going to work, going home, sleeping, eating, waking up, doing the same thing over and over. All these things are extremely forgettable and not memorable, and you're not even going to want to remember it because you're doing the same thing every day, over and over and over, like the movie Groundhog Day. The guy wakes up, and he's reliving the same day. Guy wakes up, he's reliving the same day. And you just start to forget those days. And that's why a month goes by, and you're like, wow, a month went by? That's crazy. It felt like a week. And it's because that month is not filled with meaningful experiences. But yeah. Number 3, practice mindfulness. There's been a lot of talk about mindfulness in recent years, and it's often been discussed in terms of meditation. But if you're interested in slowing down time, you don't necessarily have to meditate. You simply need to become more mindful. Mindfulness essentially means that your brain is wholly focused on the task at hand. So for example, let's say you're at the gym and you're working out, instead of just going through the motion, being all bored of it, really focus on the contractions, be mindful about it. When you're eating food, don't just scarf down a fruit or whatever you're eating, don't just scarf down the food. Bite it, think about the flavors, really enjoy it, be mindful about it, and time will start to slow down a little bit, So don't just go through the motions, slow down a little bit, notice detail. But yeah, mindfulness essentially means that your brain is wholly focused on the task at hand. You're fully present, aware of where you are and what you're doing, and not overwhelmed by what's happening around you. This might sound easy enough, but when the last time you were fully engrossed in only one activity, as you read, are you also eating lunch or assembling a to-do list? When you're driving, do you find your train of thoughts wandering far beyond the road before you? If you're like most people, multitasking is a way of life. Mindfulness is the opposite. But yeah, as we multitask our, what's the word? Mindfulness is the opposite. Okay. When you're fully engrossed in what you're doing, when you notice the little things you may take for granted, such as feel of your shoes as you walk, it changes the brain and can have a positive effect on the body as a whole. Studies have found that mindfulness meditation prevents the thinning of the frontal cortex. Well, it's not like meditation like this, It's more like really thinking about each action that you're doing, So whether you're working out, really be in the moment, or you're eating something, be in the moment, or you're at church, don't just sit there like, oh, I can't wait to go to lunch, Really be mindful and think about the experience you're having in church. When if you're reading the Bible, don't just read the Bible, go through the pages like it's a book, like it's a college textbook. Really read it and reread it and be mindful of it. Be mindful of what you're reading. Be mindful that you're alive and you're present in that moment. But yeah. But what does practicing mindfulness mean for our perception of time? It's essentially the tool we can use at any time to press, pause, take stock of where we are, and notice both ourselves and our world. If you're new to mindfulness and aren't ready to dive into it just yet, try the 5-4-3-2-1 method, a common sensory awareness grounding exercise. Here is all you have to do. Name 5 things you can see, name 4 things you can touch, name 3 things you can hear, name 2 things you can smell, name 1 thing you can taste. But yeah. Number 4, start journaling to practice reflection. The idea of journaling may evoke memories of scribbling in a diary during middle school, but journaling can be anything you want it to be. A stream of consciousness, flow of thoughts, or simply a daily gratitude list. Regardless of how you journal, the benefits of taking time to reflect on your day are numerous, and they can help you slow down time. And you don't really have to start a journal. You can also do something like when your day ends and you're about to go to sleep, after you pray or whatever you do, before you sleep, lay in bed and just do kind of like an inventory in your head. Just think about your whole day, what you did, what you could have done better. That way the next day you're prepared to do things a little differently. Because most of the time we don't think about our day. We go to sleep, we wake up, and sometimes we make the same mistakes or the same routines, and then we're not really satisfied with that day, right? But if you go to sleep and you do like an inventory list in your head, like, okay, what did I do today? What could I have done better? What did I do worse? And really think about this on a deeper level. And another thing you can do is heighten your awareness. Anytime our awareness is heightened, time slows down. So I remember a friend telling me him and his family got in a car accident, and he was sitting in the back holding milkshakes. And somebody hit their car, and the milkshakes started flying. And then he told me, I was looking at the milkshakes flying, and it was in slow motion. And that's because when you're in danger, there's an emergency, your awareness is heightened, right? All your senses are heightened, and time feels slower. And same goes for not only emergencies, but if you hike, if you don't just go through the motion, let's say you're going on a hike on a trail, really pay attention to the colors of the trees, the colors of the trees, the colors of the plants, all the little animals you see, all the sounds of the wind, birds chirping. Really pay attention to all these little things, and I promise you your days are going to feel richer. It's going to feel more meaningful and longer as well. It's not going to feel, oh, wow, 5 hours passed by like that. No, it's going to feel longer. The days are richer, and you're going to remember it a lot better, which is awesome, But yeah, there's actually a really famous quote from the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I don't know if you've seen it, but at the end of the movie, he says, life moves pretty fast, and if you don't slow down and look around, you just might miss it. So yeah, you have to heighten your awareness, really pay attention to even the littlest details that you usually don't look at, right? You're on a hike, you're going somewhere, you're on a road trip, instead of just looking out the window, really pay attention to all the scenery and the colors and the sounds and everything together, and time will feel slower. But yeah, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Wherever you are, good afternoon, good morning, and good night. We're out.